Hey Grand Adventurers, welcome back. I'm your host, Mark Guido. And as we've continued our northwestward journey across northern British Columbia, we've arrived at the community of Smithers.
Smithers, I'm home.
With a population of just over 5,000, Smithers is the largest town in British Columbia's Bulkley Valley, in the province's northwest central interior on the eastern edge of the Coast Mountains. The valley is bounded on the west by the ultra-prominent Hudson Bay Mountain range that rises to 8,494 feet above the town, and on the east by the Babine Mountains. As the largest town in the area, Smithers is also the valley's primary service provider. The town was named for Sir Alfred Smithers, chairman of the board of the Grand Trunk Pacific Railway, which arrived here in 1913, with an important divisional station on its route from Prince George to Prince Rupert. Smithers Station was built by the Grand Trunk Pacific in 1919, just before Canadian National Railways assumed control of the railway line, and is now the oldest building in the community. By 1914, there were 2 newspapers, 2 banks, 3 churches, a 3-story hotel, stores, a telephone system, and an electricity supply in Smithers. Main Street implemented an Alpine theme in 1972. A town bylaw requires businesses in the downtown area centered on Main Street to construct their buildings in an Alpine style. Residents of Smithers are called Smithereens, which remains a more popularly accepted demonym than the sometimes used Smitherite. Despite its small population, Smithers has produced several notable professional ice hockey players. Route 16, also known as the Yellowhead Highway, travels the length of the Bulkley Valley, completed as a gravel road in 1925. During World War II, the U.S. military extended the road to Prince Rupert to facilitate the transport of troops and supplies to the Pacific Theater and the Aleutian Islands. Widening and paving of the road, however, didn't take place until the mid to late 1960s. Forestry and mining are the 2 dominant local industries, although Smithereens tend to oppose any efforts to expand the local coal mining industry. Smithers is also known for alpine skiing on the slopes of Hudson Bay Mountain and recreational fishing, in particular for steelhead. It's also a hotbed for downhill mountain biking, cross-country skiing, hiking, ATV riding, and snowmobiling. What was once the Smithers Courthouse and Jail, now the Bulkley Valley Museum, is currently exhibiting the shared culture between the white settlers and the native Witset people of the Bulkley Valley. One fun little gem we learned here, Smithereen Thomas Bethel invented the egg carton in Smithers. With many RVs traveling Route 16 through northern BC, Smithers created Riverside Municipal Campground in the town's Riverside Park lining the Bulkley River, with 34 back-in RV campsites ranging from dry camping to 30-amp full hookup sites. Oddly, a number of these sites have 15-amp electrical hookups, and that's the only type available for us to reserve for our full week in Smithers. We've paid $42 Canadian per night, or about $30.67 US at today's exchange rate. The campground has been full just about every night that we've been here, although many through travelers have been departing each morning. This is a wonderful family campground with grassy sites in proximity to both the river and a network of multi-use trails. Each campsite has a picnic table and fire ring, and campground facilities include coin showers, flush toilets, a playground, and picnic shelter. campground's trail network leads into the forest right from the campground. It is enjoyable both on foot and with a bike. This video is sponsored by Tyhee, a manufacturer of numerous types of electric fans for your RV. Many of us have RV refrigerators with side vents that look like these. When it's hot out, especially when the sun is beating on this side of the RV refrigerators can have a hard time staying cool. There's a small fan inside your refrigerator compartment that pulls air inside the lower vent, runs it over the refrigeration coils to dissipate heat, and pushes the air out the top vent up there. But that tiny 12-volt fan, similar in size and configuration to the cooling fan found in a desktop PC, can often be inadequate to keep the refrigerator cold and items in your freezer frozen, especially for those of us with an absorption fridge. To solve this, Tyhee sent us their massive 12-volt RV refrigerator cooling fan, with a horizontal blower to direct large quantities of air up through the refrigerator chamber. It's capable of automatic temperature control, or manual control at 6 different speeds. It's IP55 rated for water and dust intrusion, and mounts right to the refrigerator side vents on your RV. Installation is dead simple. Start by mounting the fan to the inside of the refrigerator vent, using the adhesive-backed metal clips provided. Next, mount the fan controller in a convenient location. We've chosen to mount our fan controller behind the vent near the fan, but there's sufficient cable provided to even mount the controller inside your RV if you prefer. Connect the fan controller to your 12-volt power supply. We chose to use some easy T connectors, not included, to splice into the 12-volt line leading to the fridge control panel. Then connect the fan to the fan controller. Operation is nearly silent, and the amount of air this fan pushes to cool the refrigerator coils is far more substantial than the tiny fan installed with the refrigerator. We've set ours on automatic to turn on and off as necessary. The Tyhee RV 12-volt refrigerator fan is available through Amazon via the link provided below in the video description, or by clicking the QR code appearing right now on your screen. Now, through the end of October, save 10% with promo code GRAND0730. Settlement in the Telkwa area, about 5 miles south of Smithers along the Yellowhead Highway, began around 1904 in a town site known as Aldermere, on the hill above Telkwa. It was a central stopping spot for travelers and prospectors following the Telegraph Trail and the Call of the Gold Rush. Around 1907, people began to move down the hill to be closer to water supplies and the anticipated route of the Grand Trunk Pacific Railway. The name Telkwa comes from an indigenous term for meeting of the waters, which appropriately describes the confluence of the Bulkley and Telkwa rivers in town. In 1914, Telkwa suffered a major fire, and many of the downtown buildings were destroyed. Although the efforts to rebuild started immediately, many businesses were expanding and moved to the new railway townsite of Smithers. The 96-acre Tyhee Lake just above Telkwa was once the 11th station on the Collins Overland Telegraph, an attempt by Western Union to construct a telegraph line from San Francisco to Moscow, Russia, right after the U.S. Civil War. Tyhee Lake includes a provincial park on its shores with a very attractive day-use area for swimming and a boat launch for both motorized and human-powered watercraft. Just back from the beach in a thick secondary growth aspen forest, a campground with 59 dry and electrified sites awaits from early May through the end of September. Sites here cost $27 Canadian per night, plus an additional $7 per night for electrified sites. Just north of Smithers, Lake Kathlyn is another beautiful northern BC lake with public access. Looming above Lake Kathlyn, though, is one of the Smithers area's most iconic landmarks that's fed by this glacier on the northeastern aspect of Hudson Bay Mountain. Beginning at another BC recreation site that includes a handful of small dry campsites, a short gravel trail leads up Glacier Gulch to a viewing platform for what's called Twin Falls. The platform affords views of two 500-foot waterfalls for the price of one. However, here in the late afternoon, the backlighting of the falls is just about as bad as it could be. The official trail ends here, but I'm going to try to continue a bit further upstream to get into the shadow of the cliffs. It's thick in here. Here, Bear Bear. The lighting's still not ideal, but at least we're getting a clearer view of the falls from here. About a half-hour's drive north of Smithers is the tiny indigenous community of Witset. Here, the Bulkley River flows through a narrow gorge known as the Witset Canyon, which the natives use to channel the river's salmon into their nets. We hope that you've enjoyed visiting Smithers with us. Now, we're going to get packed up and head off to the scene of next week's grand adventure, Terrace, our last stop in British Columbia before we cross the border into Alaska. So if you're not yet a grand adventurer, there is no better time than right now for you to go smash that little subscribe button right down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and ring that notification bell to be sure that you never miss a grand adventure, which we premiere right here every Wednesday evening. We'd be honored if you shared the channel with your friends, family, and on social media. Understand it's extremely important to us that if you enjoyed this episode from Smithers, please be sure to give us a big thumbs up down below. And while you're down below, that's where you'll find the comment section where we'd love to hear from you each and every week. So until next Wednesday from Terrace, please remember, life is nothing but a grand adventure. We'll see you then.